Hi everyone, my name is Ava and I'm an American living in the Netherlands. And today I want to talk to you about something I never thought I would be talking about on the internet, and that is fashion. Specifically, fashion in the US versus the Netherlands. Now I'm not going to give you fashion tips, but I'm rather going to tell you a little bit about how I've experienced Americans dressed versus Europeans dressed, and in particular the Netherlands, because whenever I talk about being stylish in the Netherlands, people in the Netherlands go, oh no, we're not stylish. Dutch people are not stylish. If you want to find style, you go to Southern Europe. Like, you want to be French or Italian, they've got style. Dutch people, they themselves will say, no, we don't care too much about this. But let me tell you in this video that there is a difference between how Americans and Dutch people view fashion. So this will be really fun and interesting because whether we like it or not, we all put on clothes. Most of us put on clothes when we leave our house. And I think we make decisions. Even if we make a decision to not wear something that's extremely fashionable, that is still a decision. So I wanted to talk about that in this video. Now, before I tell you a little more about this, I owe you all an update. The view behind me, the background looks a little different, and that is because I have moved yet again. I actually bought my first house here in the Netherlands, which has been a really exciting experience. I've shared with you on here how it has been a tiring, long journey, but that journey has now come to an end, sort of. I'm still moving and all the stuff that comes along with it. But I've been sharing some updates on Instagram. I, of course, will share a vlog on here as well. So stay tuned for that, and you can follow me on Instagram if you want more live updates. Now, with that out of the way, back to these fashion differences. Now, even stores like H&M have noticed that there is a difference between the American market and the Dutch market. Because if you look at a store like H&M and you go to their website, if you click on the US store and the Dutch store, you will see like a different inventory of clothing. And you'll see certain things that are different. Maybe the short sizes are different, like not just the measurements, but the length of the shorts that are available. Like if you're trying to find a particular piece that you've seen in a Dutch store, you may not find it in the US. That has actually happened to me years ago, and also to my wife, who is Dutch. I'm finally getting used to saying wife, by the way. Yeah, so we've both noticed this and we've talked about it a little bit over the years. And then finally I thought, Ava, you have to bite the bullet and just talk about fashion that I really am a non-expert on the internet. Now, the first thing I think that actually results in this difference between the fashion sense or what people tend to put on in the US and the Netherlands is the sense of comfort. I think in the US, like with many things, I see that convenience and comfort shows itself again in fashion and what people choose to put on. So when you think about comfort in the US, I'm thinking about specifically athleisure. So in the middle of the day in the US, you could be walking around in yoga pants and a t-shirt, and that is completely acceptable. And in the Netherlands, if I were to walk around in yoga pants and a t-shirt in the middle of the day, yes, some people might think that I just like went to the gym or something, but if people saw me like repeatedly, or also if I was walking in the city like this, people would like look at me. I would get some interesting, like people will be interested in looking at me and give me some stares like, what are you doing? Why didn't you go home and change? It's not as accepted as it is in the US. In the US, you could actually just go to the gym and then go to the store and go about your day in your work outfit. Your workout outfit, rather. Your work outfit, that's totally acceptable. What else do people put on all day anyway? But in the Netherlands, it's not the case. And again, even if you're not working out in the US, you could just wear athleisure. So some more examples to illustrate the fact that like in the Netherlands, that's just not done, comes from when I had just moved here and I wanted to go to the grocery store. It was like in the evening, I had on leggings and a t-shirt and I thought this is just fine. In fact, it didn't even cross my mind that I should put something else on. And then I go into the supermarket and I come back, and in the supermarket, it was fine, but when I walked through the streets in the city, this was in Amsterdam, people looked at me and I felt extremely underdressed. Another time I did that in shorts and a t-shirt and I still felt underdressed. Now granted, I think this might have been a Thursday evening or something, so people were all out having a borrel on the streets, well, sort of like at the bars, but like on the terrasjes. And there I was in my shorts and t-shirt going to the supermarket, which if you are American watching this, you're thinking like, there's nothing wrong with this. But when I was here doing that, let me tell you, all eyes were on me. or at least it felt like all eyes were on me and what am I doing? Why am I wearing this? So I never did that again. Okay, so here I am telling you about this experience, but I feel like if you talk about being extremely fashionable, most Dutch people might say, hey, I don't know about that. We definitely don't walk around at leisure, but we're not extremely fashion conscious. So why is it that when Americans come to the Netherlands, people really notice, like my friends have noticed, I noticed that people seem to look really stylish and fashionable. And I think the reason for this is just very broadly a total blanket statement that I think most people will choose style over convenience or comfort. And this sounds really funny, but I've heard this a couple of times in the Netherlands where Dutch people say, oh, American men, I don't understand. Why do they wear clothes that are 2 sizes too big for them or that are too large for them and that they don't fit properly? And that is interesting. Once someone said that to me, I thought, wait a second, this is really true. Because in the US, especially when I think of men's clothing, they're fit to be they're a relaxed fit. So they don't fit very tightly. They're not slim. If you think of the jeans, they're also these typically baggy, relaxed fit. Even if the jeans are not supposed to be baggy, they just fit in a very relaxed way. They're not skinny jeans. In the US, if you think about skinny jeans, you think hipster guys wear skinny jeans. That's really a very niche thing, a niche image that pops up to mind when you think about that. Which results in some really funny scenarios when Americans come to Europe and the Netherlands and they see, men in really well-tailored, nice clothes or jeans that fit them really well, like the skinny jeans. And I now completely understand. So if you see an American guy in a blazer, it looks big and baggy. And if you see a European Dutch guy in a blazer, it fits really well and they've got their hair slicked back and that's the style that you'll see here in the Netherlands. Now, the next thing I think that makes a big difference is that I've heard a lot of Dutch people talk about the quality of something or how nice something is in terms of quality, as opposed to it being fast fashion. So in the Netherlands, for instance, I know a lot of people who buy something that's actually quite expensive, but with the idea that they'll wear it for the next 10 years. So I know people who say oh, I've had this thing since high school and, now they're 30 years old. Whereas in the US, I think while that may happen, and then, there's always you always have that one t-shirt in your closet that's from high school. No matter what age you are, I think. I wonder when you ever grow out of that, because I still have clothes from high school. Not because they're nice or good quality, just because it's from high school. And I couldn't bear to throw it out. It somehow made it here we're with me in the Netherlands. Don't know how that happened, but it did, okay? And I'm sure you can relate to this. If not, then well, it looks like I am the weirdo here. But that said, in the US, I actually find that people like to look more fashionable by having different clothes, or maybe fast fashion is really a thing, so people aren't thinking about how much money things cost. I think we really like that things are cheap, so people tend to go for that. And that does mean a compromise on quality. And in my personal experience, I've noticed that very anecdotally that my friends in the US were always putting on something new, whereas my friends here in Europe, I see them in similar pieces of clothing, or the same pieces of clothing rather, many times over the years, and that's totally fine. Of course, they also buy new things, but they also just wear their nice pieces over and over, and that's also sort of a source of pride. They're like, yo, I have this shirt that's really nice, and I really like it, and I wear it often because it's good quality. And then no one questions the fact that you're wearing this shirt over and over because it's a nice shirt. It still looks good. It feels nice. Why not? Okay, but I do think there's a bit more to the difference between the US and the Dutch way of dressing than the things that I've just told you. And that small little bit is, I do feel like in at least some places in the Netherlands, people are very fashion conscious. Of course, that exists in the US too. New York is a big fashion hub, and other places in the US, but what would I know? But in the Netherlands, I know that people are fashion conscious because I see everybody wearing the same thing in the cities. So for instance, in Amsterdam, this is especially jarring. There was one time, right in the beginning of the white sneaker waves, when it wasn't really common to wear white sneakers, I remember sitting at a restaurant and we were actually talking about this, and this was 6 years ago or something. So I didn't live in the Netherlands at the time, but I was visiting here with another American friend, and we were talking with my Dutch wife, then girlfriend, just about all things and differences between the US and the Netherlands. You can see this channel was in the making years ago. So we were sitting at this table in actually the Blue Amsterdam restaurant in Amsterdam. I think it's a cafe restaurant, not sure. we were sitting there and we actually talked about how everyone in Amsterdam is now wearing white sneakers and how that's a trend. Cue, in that moment, come a group of 6 girls and they're all wearing white sneakers. I kid you not. This was when people were really not wearing white sneakers. It wasn't a thing back then. And then group of 6 girls all wearing white sneakers, walking at the same pace. So we actually saw just like 12 white sneakers synchronized with each other just at that moment when we were talking about it. So I think this example really illustrates what I mean. Now, Americans, as I said, also do pay attention to fashion, but I think it's a little bit different. Where in the US, I think when people want to look nice, they really make a huge effort to look nice. And you can exactly pinpoint what it is that makes them look nice that day. So maybe they've done their hair, they have a lot of makeup, maybe they put on clothes that you would put on for a more festive occasion, maybe they'll wear heels instead of sneakers, that type of thing. So you can really say like, oh, you look nice because you've put on more formal clothes or more festive clothes, that type of thing. But in the Netherlands, I find that people tend to walk around just looking effortlessly stylish. And I think that comes from the fact that people focus more on quality as opposed to quantity or just the fast fashion. So they have nice pieces of clothing. And that way, even a sweater, because it's expensive and good quality, looks really nice. And I think there's also something about what Dutch people prioritize. So I feel like Dutch people walk around with the idea that they want to appear as if they haven't put any thought into their appearance or what they did today, you know, just threw something on and they just happen to look really nice. So I think they take care to, for instance, not put on a lot of makeup. You will also see a lot of Dutch women with just like wet hair walking outside. And I don't think that's because they don't care about their appearance. I think that's because they prioritize other things. So they have on really nice clothes. It's on trend, so on point. But then, you know, if their hair isn't perfectly done, that's fine because they look natural and as if they just are naturally beautiful and have not spent 35 minutes in the bathroom trying to look exactly the way they look. Okay, so at this point, I've told you a lot of differences between the US and the Netherlands, and all I want to say at this point in the video is the culmination of all of this can be found at the airport. When you go to the airport, you could really see the difference between how Americans dress and how Dutch people dress. So I feel like when an American goes to the airport, they are dressed for comfort because they want to travel in comfort. Europeans travel in style. They do not show up to the airport, typically speaking, in their yoga pants, leggings, or a t-shirt and a hoodie, whereas that is very American. So that was all I wanted to share with you today when it comes to fashion or what people like to put on in the US versus the Netherlands. I probably left something out, so if you have anything to add, let me know in the comments down below. And as usual, until next time,